Ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. I've had one of my subs say that today is Two-Stroke Tuesday so many times. It's what I think when I'm getting ready to make videos. So this is the first official Two-Stroke Tuesday. And today we're working on this little PR2322 hedge trimmer. Now, hedge trimmer is one of those things that sits around a long time. And then people think that even though it sits in the garage for a year, it's going to start first time. So let's have a look at her. Okay, when you pull the cord, tons of compression. But no matter what we do, we put fuel in it and she just wouldn't start. And we tried priming it with carb spray a little bit, and she did try to run. And it's not that old a machine, so we're going to go ahead and save her. Now we're using a 4 millimeter Allen key to take it off. Usually it's a Torx or a Phillips, but in this case it's not. This one's the odd duck. Now when I got this, it was pretty dirty. So you can see I've already cleaned it up quite a bit. Now we're going to loosen the cap up. Always loosen the cap when you do this, because these can be the death of you. And I can see this fuel line looks pretty bad. It's all torn up. So we're going to go ahead and recarb her and refuel line her and see how she runs. Actually, the regular fuel line looks pretty good. But we don't have time to fool with that. It's easier to order a carb that comes with fuel line. You see me pulling them out of the drawer all the time, but I order it in rolls. Whenever you order a carburetor, you can usually get fuel line with it. There we go. Now I got that a little loose. You make that let go just like that. About half the time it pops right out on these, and the other half the time it fights you. Let's grab a little screwdriver, see if we can't Ouija it out of there. There you go. You can see this one's a fighter. And there it goes. Now pull the nut off. Run them until they're empty when you store them. Save you all of this work. And whenever you do this, you got to play it by ear mostly. Sometimes you'll get halfway through it and change your mind entirely and decide you have to replace it, even though you originally intended to keep it. Wow. You see this, even though it originally looked really good, it doesn't feel that good now. So now we've got the fuel lines out of the old stopper and we're going to put it in, which is nothing more than a little elbow grease. These are a lot easier to put in than the Echoes. On an Echo, you'll fight this to no end. On one of these, they slide in pretty easy. As a rule, there's 3 or 4 sizes for this, and the smaller it is, the more difficult it is to work with. So we're going to try to run our little tool through here. We might have to run this way on this one. This is the direction we normally go on a hard tank where you've just got holes. But I thought I could get away with going the other way, but I can't. There we go. Now we're going to take our return line first. And we're going to cut an angle. And we're cutting the angle only so that it'll go through this little smoother. Now we're going to put just a little bit of oil or whatever you've got on it. And that's just to make it go through the hole a little bit better. A little less friction. And there you go. You can see her popping through a little bit down there. grab the pliers and pull her the rest of the way. And the clear is always the return line. So it simply has to be inside the tank. Now we're not going to cut any extra off until we have the new carb in place. We'll just leave it hanging like that. Okay, let's find some new fuel line. We'll taper it the same way. And we'll work our little wire back up through the hole. There we go. And I actually just licked it to make it slide through better. I would not recommend that with old fuel line, but you can do it with new fuel line. And that's that. Now this one, we're going to do a little bit different. I'm going to grab a new fuel filter for her. And we're going to put the fuel filter on the end. Perfect. And put her down in the tank. And then try to peek around the corner as much as you can to see where the fuel filter is sitting. And when you do that, it's going to be different for every single one of them. Okay, well, I'd usually strongly suggest replacing this carburetor and just simply, spending the 20 bucks on one on Amazon. We're going to go ahead and give this one a shot at rebuilding it. If you're ambitious and you've got good tools, and of course a good place to work, then this is usually the better way to go. One of the advantages of using the factory carburetor is all the settings are usually correct. Usually once you rebuild one, if nobody's ever touched it, you don't have to do anything to rework it. So have a look here. You see this? Let's call it, for lack of a better term, where your fuel comes from. Sort of pumps in and out. And this would cause a lack of fuel when you got that big bulge in it. Okay, let's have a look at the top at our metering diaphragm. And you can see the little creases and everything around it. It's just about expired. And a new one, we'll grab a new one in a second. New one won't make that sound. Okay, here's our new metering diaphragm. And you can see it looks familiar, but you see all this. The new one's nice and smooth and it's nice and flat. This one would, if it works, it wouldn't work well. So we're going to take our metering diaphragm and we'll put it over here. Right here. Put our top plate on top of it, like so. And put our primer bulb back on. This primer bulb looks okay, and it feels nice and squishy. Feels nice and backwards. There we go. Okay, and we'll leave that there. We'll take the body of the carburetor, which I've cleaned up pretty well. I ran it through the ultrasonic. Let's get all these guys right. And take your time and make sure that your new gasket lines up perfect with your old one. Like, put them next to each other and compare every single hole, because if you're missing a hole, you're going to have a problem. It's not going to work at all. See, we get everything lined up. It's all sitting good, sitting good, sitting good. And there we go. We put some screws in. And a little bit of luck, we've got a good round little carburetor again. So you're getting all the screws started before we start twisting on any of them, because these are responsible for some of the alignment for these gaskets. Sometimes I'll even build it on the screws and then flip the whole thing onto the carburetor at once. But that's style, that's not functionality. Okay, 1 started, 2 started, 3 started, 4 started. Now we'll go a little bit snug back and forth. And then once we're done with this, we're going to go around in a circle. See, they're all a little bit snug, so we'll give it an extra snug, all the way around. And like I said, this is a little bit of extra work. So if you're doing your own, you can't just buy a new carburetor. So let's go back to the machine and put it all back together. Say, since we got our new fuel lines, all we have to do is this. And we know it's adjusted correctly because we're using the same carburetor that came off of it. Okay, before we tighten that, we're going to go ahead and pull this across like this. I'm going to try to anyway. This is pretty easy if you've got like 3 or 4 hands. And there you go. Up, and there we almost go. Okay, we're holding it there. We're laying it across. We pull the trigger. And look at that. That looks good. So we'll go ahead and tighten this. I'm going to tighten more of it from the outside because that'll give us more accelerator. I'm going to tighten it up with a little 10mm wrench and we're good to go. Okay, next up is laying it all together. So we're going to move our fuel lines out of the way. Oh, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and put our fuel lines on because our air box on this model is going to be all sorts of in the way. There we go. And if you get these lines backwards, then no worries at all. When you're pumping, if you don't see the gas going out of the clear line, then if you see it trying to pull in through the clear line, then just switch the lines on the carburetor and you're good. Take up a little slack. Let's get this out of the way. There we go. And we're still a little bit wonky, but that'll be pretty easy to do in a minute. It's kind of fun. It's easy to rebuild the carburetor, but hard to get the 2 bolts back on. You can see I'm just sort of pushing them in, letting them hold their spot. Whoops, 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 whoops. Switch bits. Back to our little 4. And this is the only thing I've seen with an Allen key in a million years. There we go. Not too tight. Not too tight. Extra snug. Extra snug. Okay. You see our fuel lines are all bent up. Not a big deal. Okay, now that we're up to this part, we're going to go ahead and put the fuel lines on. I'm going to put the black back where it was and the clear back where it was. And don't be afraid of crossing them because all you have to do is pull them back off the carburetor and put them back on if you cross them. And now we'll watch the clear line when we pump and see if fuel comes through. And you can see fuel pushing that way. So that's a good sign. Now we're pumping up until we feel like the carburetor is mostly full. And it looks pretty good, so let's put the cap on it and test it. Okay, she's all primed up and she's ready to go. Let's put her on full choke. See if we can get her to start. No, she stalled. I wonder what that was about. Maybe she's still cold. Okay, choke is off now. There she goes. She idles okay. She sounds pretty good. That came out really nice. And we don't know how long the thing sat. I mean, it looks good, but it could have sat for 4 years for all we know. We just don't know. So she started up the second time, and she feels pretty good. It revs up nice, and personally, scares me half to death. I imagine losing fingers with those things. Okay, now you new people out there, if you made it this far, you might as well subscribe. It is free after all. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.